Hi and welcome back to Love English. In today's lesson, I want to share with you 10 proverbs. 10 proverbs that I think will help you sound more natural, native, and really immerse yourself in the English culture. Proverbs, a sentence with meaning, often to give advice, to share wisdom, are common amongst all languages. And in fact, many of these proverbs you may have similar in your language, if not exactly the same. So do comment below and let me know. But the important thing to remember about any language, whether that's English, French, Spanish, German, whatever the language might be, is that it's not all about grammar. It's not just about the structures, learning lots of vocabulary and perfecting your pronunciation. Immersing yourself in a language, becoming native and fluent, means understanding the language in a cultural context. All of these 10 proverbs that I'm going to share with you today can be used in day-to-day English. They're not particularly special, they are commonly used. So why don't you try and use one of these proverbs in the comments box below. Put it into a context, make it personal to you, and really help develop your English language to a much higher level. Now, if you would like to learn more expressions like these, whether phrasal verbs, idiomatic, and of course proverbs, then do make sure you follow us on Instagram. You can check us out there. We've got plenty of reels and more English for you to study. And of course, you can find us on Facebook and our website, www.loveenglish.co.uk. Right, on with the lesson, 10 proverbs that you can use in day-to-day English to help you immerse yourself in the language, become more aware of the English culture, and of course, hopefully give some great advice. Right, number 1, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Now think of venture coming from the word adventure, and you might start to understand this proverb. Essentially, if you don't try to do something, you won't know if you can achieve it or benefit from it. As an example, I really don't know whether I should bother applying for that job. I don't think I have enough experience. Come on, nothing ventured, nothing gained. You can only do your best. Number 2, out of the frying pan and into the fire. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. This is a particularly, I think, more advanced, and you might find it a bit of a challenge to use, but keep going, bear with me, and see if you're able to understand this. Out of the frying pan and into the fire essentially means going from one problem to another. And in fact, the next problem that you go to is usually bigger, worse than the original. Basically, by your own effort, you've gone from one bad situation to another, but the other is much worse. Now, an example of this could be relationships. You might have a boyfriend or a girlfriend who you're not very happy with, so you break up with them. And then you start a new relationship, except this relationship is actually not very nice. Maybe the person doesn't treat you very well or is never around. But basically, the relationship you find yourself in is even worse than the one you had previously and ended. So someone might say to you, well, out of the frying pan and into the fire. Or it could even be in a work situation. Maybe you've quit your job, you weren't happy there, and you go to find another job, you start that job and you find actually this job is much worse. Your boss is much more bossy. Your colleagues are really lazy, and you're really, really not happy in this new job. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. So you have made a choice to make a bad situation even worse. Number 3, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Sounds weird? Yes, these next two are particularly strange because they're related to horses and it sounds a little bit odd, but you'll get the idea in just a second. Basically, don't question good luck. Don't find fault with something where someone has offered you a gift or a favour to help you. As an example, perhaps you are desperate to get to the airport but don't know how. You need a lift, or you need to get the coach or the train, and someone offers to give you a lift. Hey, I'm going to London on that day. Why don't I take you to the airport? Wow, well, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. Thank you. My teacher gave me the option of having an extension on my essay. Well, I wasn't going to look a gift horse in the mouth, was I? Number 4, another horsey proverb, perhaps one that you've heard before. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Now, often we would just shorten this down because we know it so well and say, well, you can lead a horse to water. But when we use this, whether in the short form or the longer form, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, you're essentially saying you can guide someone, you can give them all the support and advice that they could possibly need, but it doesn't mean they are going to take it or accept it or make the right decisions. You can give them a chance, but it is their choice to take it. Honestly, I have done everything I possibly can to help my students through the exam, but still some of them aren't turning up to lesson. Oh, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Number 5 is a great proverb, and I think it's actually one of my favourite because my grandmother uses it so much and it's such a good piece of advice. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, or you can cross that bridge when you come to it. Basically, don't fret and worry about a problem until it's actually there, until there really is a problem to worry about, and at that point you'll find a solution, a bridge to get across the problem. So, as an example, I'm really worried I'm not going to pass my exams and I won't get into university. What am I going to do? Really? Why don't we just cross that bridge when we come to it? If you don't pass the exam, we'll find a solution. There might be another way around, another university to go to, or perhaps you can have a retake on the exam. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, is saying, wait, there isn't a problem just yet. Let's see what happens until we need to actually find a solution for that problem that doesn't exist quite yet. Number 6, the straw that broke the camel's back, or it was the straw that broke the camel's back, or we could even shorten this down to it was the last straw. In this case, we're saying there is a limit to what I can handle, what I can tolerate, what I can manage. You may be dealing with screaming children all day or difficult colleagues at work. Perhaps you are trying your best to find solutions for everybody, but still it keeps coming. The problems keep mounting, and eventually you snap. You have enough. You go crazy. You lose your temper, or you simply want to walk away. It is the straw that broke the camel's back. We have a limit. For example, you might be working really hard in the office, trying to get a presentation ready, and someone keeps letting you down. Eventually, they call up again and say they're late, and that's it. It's the straw that breaks the camel's back. You've had it up to here, another expression for you. And you might tell them, look, you're being unreliable, you're not helping, come on. This is the last straw, meaning this is as much as I can tolerate. This can be used in so many different situations in life and often is used by people to tell others that they can't cope with any more, that they won't manage to deal with any more of these problems or this behaviour. That's the last straw. The children were screaming and shouting all day, and then they decided to spill all the food over the table. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. I just had to shout and scream at them. I didn't know what else to do. When you want to be determined, or you want to encourage someone else to be determined, you could say, where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Now, in this case, we're using will not as a modal verb, but we're actually referring to our own will, our ability, our strength that we have to keep going, to do something. That is what we're referring to when we talk about our will. It's actually a noun in this context. It's your strength, your determination to do something. You can refer to someone as being strong-willed when they're very stubborn, maybe, or determined. So where there's a will, there's a way. It means basically if you're determined, if you want to do something, you can, and you can achieve it. How can we convince her this is the best option for the business? I'm really not sure she's going to listen. Come on, where there's a will, there's a way. I'm sure we can convince her. Number 8, better late than never. Better late than never. This is actually quite optimistic, I suppose. It's trying to see things in a more positive light. So even if something has happened, transpired later than you would have liked, then it's good. It's still there, it's still happened. As an example, it might be that you think someone's forgotten your birthday, but they send you a text message at the last minute, 11:30, and you say, oh well, better late than never. So you're saying, you know, you've told me and at least you've remembered. Happy birthday. Now, this isn't always the case, obviously. If you're handing in essays past the deadline, better late than never, not necessarily true because you could be losing marks, but your teacher still might say better late than never. You'll lose some marks, but you won't fail the essay, as an example. Number 9, beggars can't be choosers. Beggars can't be choosers. Now, a beggar is usually when we refer to somebody on the street asking for money who are homeless, not particularly nice. In this case, we're not actually referring to homeless people. We're referring to when you're kind of desperate for something. As an example, I might want to go on holiday because I haven't been on holiday for such a long time, and all my husband books is a staycation down the road in an old hotel. I might say, well, beggars can't be choosers. I need to go on holiday, I need a break, and it's better than nothing. Or perhaps you need to borrow money from your mum and dad, and you ask them for 100 euros, and they can only give you 50. Well, again, beggars can't be choosers. Better than nothing. You need the money to go on holiday or pay for some clothes. Beggars can't be choosers. You can take what you can get. And number 10, actions speak louder than words. Actions speak louder than words, meaning it's all very well saying I'm sorry or I love you, but unless you actually act in a way to show this or change your behavior if you have done something wrong, actions speak louder than words. Just saying these things but continuing with the same behavior really doesn't make a big difference. So as an example, I'm really sorry, I promise I'm going to do the washing up every day from now on. Well, actions speak louder than words. I'd like to see you actually do it first. So there we have it, 10 proverbs that I hope you'll be able to use daily in English. Now, I'm sure many of these you might have already known, or perhaps there are a few that I didn't mention that you do know. So comment below and share those proverbs. And indeed, why not share one or two from your language? Perhaps you have something similar to express similar things that I've discussed in this lesson. Proverbs are a great way to understand a language and culture, and I highly recommend you take more time to learn even more proverbs in English to boost your language fluency. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you very soon with lots of lessons from Love English. And remember, nothing ventured, nothing gained.